Good morning and welcome. My name is Sonia Michelle, and I have the privilege to be the Director of United States Studies here at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. And I'm really delighted to welcome all of you here this morning for this very special occasion of commemoration of both U.S. Constitution Day and U.S. Citizenship Day. Before I talk a little bit about this event and introduce our first speakers, let me just say a word about the Wilson Center. The Wilson Center was, as some of you may know, established in the spirit of Woodrow Wilson, our 28th president, who was, as we are fond of saying around here, our only president with a PhD. And that meant that he brought together in his own life the two streams of scholarship and public policy. And that's the spirit that the Wilson Center seeks to carry on, to embody and to carry on. The Wilson Center is a site where scholars and policymakers can come together to engage in what our director, Lee Hamilton, likes to call democratic dialogue. And today's event is very much designed in that spirit. We are bringing together policymakers, some of the major policymakers in the area of citizenship and immigration, as well as some scholars. And so we hope that it's going to be a very fruitful conversation between those two groups of people. We're delighted in particular to be hosting this event, this commemoration of two very important days in the U.S. calendar, Constitution Day and Citizenship Day. These 2 days draw attention to principles that lie at the heart of our nation. The Constitution, a document that not only embodies and articulates the basic rights that are enjoyed by all Americans, but which is importantly to me, and I'm a historian, a living document, a document that has changed over time in response to struggles on the part of various excluded groups, racial minorities and women. Their struggles to become full citizens. And that document, of course, bears the marks of those struggles in its various amendments. So when we think about the history of the Constitution, we think about it as a living document that reflects those struggles on the part of people, of various groups of people, so they could enjoy all those rights. And of course, those struggles and that history is close to the spirit of Citizenship Day, a day that reminds us of the remarkable composition of American society, of the American nation as a nation of immigrants. A place where citizenship may be acquired not only by being born here, and even that, as I'm sure most of you know, cannot be taken for granted in some parts of the world. Simply being born in a country doesn't necessarily mean you're going to become a citizen of it if you don't have the right, if you don't belong to the right ethnic or racial group. But, of course, American citizenship may also be gained by coming into this country as an immigrant and eventually acquiring full citizenship status. And indeed, in this way, the United States serves as a model not only for its own citizens, but for countries around the rest of the world, countries that are becoming increasingly ethnically and racially heterogeneous and that are increasingly looking to the United States for policies and laws and ways of bringing people into their midst, granting them full citizenship, and not only granting them citizenship, but integrating them fully into their societies. And that is something that is really the kind of the next step of citizenship, and something that the United States, that the office, the USCIS, is very much concerned with. The Wilson Center and my program, U.S. Studies, has focused a great deal of attention on citizenship and its meanings, and on immigration and related issues, such as the integration of new waves of racial and ethnic minorities, most recently Arab Americans and Muslims. We do this through our various programs, through events, conferences, panels, and so forth that we organize, and also through the participation of a number of scholars, people who come here to work, to do research for a period of months or semesters, or shorter or longer periods. And in fact, you'll be hearing from one of them today, Catherine Benton-Cohen, who's a professor at Georgetown University, who we were fortunate to have as a fellow here last year, and who's working on a topic of immigration history. And she has an article that was published in the Wilson Quarterly, which is one of our publications, and copies of that publication are available on the table outside, so I hope you'll take one on your way out. So because of our interest in immigration and integration and citizenship, we're really, really delighted to be able to host this event today. We think that our programs have given us and hopefully our audiences a better understanding of the many complexities involved in this most essential area of public policy. And so we're really, really eager to hear about the new programming that's being announced today, the new programs that are being announced today by the USCIS. To start us off, let me introduce Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the director of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. He has been in his office for a little more than a year. He comes to the office with a legal background in both private practice and as assistant and then U.S. attorney for the Central District of California. As director, Mr. Mayorkas manages a team of 18,000 workers. I find that quite astonishing. I can barely manage my one assistant and my 2 interns working in 230 offices. But he does have a budget of $3 billion, so I guess that makes it easier to do it. Anyway, in any case, I suspect that the programs that are being announced today were initiated by Mr. Mayorkas, and I think and his staff, and we're really very eager to hear about them. And we're very, very pleased to have him with us today. Welcome, Alejandro Mayorkas.
Good morning. Thank you, Sonia, for the introduction, and to the Wilson Center and Lee Hamilton for hosting us today. I'm grateful to see so many distinguished guests and colleagues and friends and partners in the audience today. I would like to just identify one very significant partner of ours who's done a tremendous amount for creating a partnership with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services and advancing our mission, and in a most beautiful and touching way, an example of which will be this coming Monday in a special naturalization ceremony at the Smithsonian American History Museum. Dr. Brent Glass, the director of that museum. Thank you for joining us. Though all 18,000 people aren't here today, I do want to recognize them and take great pride in the fact that I am one of their colleagues. I would like to take a moment to just recognize the fact that programs such as the one that we are announcing today and events such as the one that we are privileged to participate in today cannot be accomplished without the people of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So if I can take just a second and thank those representatives who are here today from various offices, the offices of citizenship, public engagement, policy and strategy, our Office of Communications, and many others. So if I could take just a moment and indulge you and have my colleagues stand and be recognized, I'm deeply grateful for everything they do. As director of USCIS, it is a distinct honor for me to be here this morning. Citizenship is an extremely meaningful USCIS benefit, and its significance goes beyond our adjudication process and speaks to the very character of our nation. American citizenship is a unique bond that unites people around civic ideals and a belief in the rights and freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution. Being American is not about one's religion, the color of one's skin, or the place of one's birth. It transcends differences by bestowing upon all of us equal rights and equal responsibilities. This milestone that hundreds of thousands of our newest citizens achieve each and every year is often a pivotal moment on an immigrant's path towards integration and full participation in our society. Congress and the President have provided extraordinary leadership in their commitment to citizenship and integration. The appropriated grants that we are announcing today are a tangible example of this leadership. It is very fitting, we think, that on Constitution Day and Citizenship Day that we announce the USCIS Citizenship and Integration Grant Program recipients. The fiscal year 2010 Citizenship and Integration Grant Program represents a significant expansion over the previous year's $1.2 million in awards to 13 organizations. Today, we are awarding nearly $8 million in funding for 75 organizations across the country. They were selected after a thorough review of more than 400 eligible applications. At a time when state and local governments face budget shortfalls and programs supporting English language learning and citizenship are particularly hard hit, this federal contribution provides critical support in our communities. The recipient organizations are geographically diverse and represent both traditional immigrant destinations and new immigrant gateways across 27 states and the District of Columbia. Importantly, grantee programs will provide service in all of the top 10 states with the largest permanent residence population eligible to naturalize: California, New York, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, Illinois, Massachusetts, Washington, Virginia, and Arizona. Taken together, recipient organizations will provide citizenship education and naturalization preparation services to more than 25,000 lawful permanent residents from over 70 countries. The Citizenship and Integration Grant Program will build capacity in communities to meet the increasing demand for citizenship services, including civics-based English classes and support for those on the path toward U.S. citizenship. Funding for the program is divided into two categories: national capacity building and direct services. Under the National Capacity Building Grant Program, grantees will build programs among their local members or affiliates where there is a demonstrated community need for citizenship services. There are 7 National Capacity Building Grant recipients, and many of the representatives are here today, and I would ask that they collectively stand after they are all announced. Boat People SOS of Falls Church, Virginia will receive $450,000 for programs in Houston, Texas, Pensacola, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Catholic Legal Immigration Network of Washington, D.C. will receive $500,000 for programs in Buffalo, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, Clinton Township, and Stockton, California. Church World Service of New York will receive approximately $382,000 for programs in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Los Angeles, California. Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society of New York will receive $450,000 for programs in Clearwater, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, and Springfield, Massachusetts. International Rescue Committee of New York will receive approximately $410,000 for programs in Abilene, Texas, Charlottesville, Virginia, and Sacramento, California. Pro-Literacy Worldwide of Syracuse, New York will receive approximately $380,000 for programs in Decatur, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee. Minnesota Literary Council of St. Paul, Minnesota will receive approximately $430,000 for programs in Marshall, Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Rochester, Minnesota. I would ask the representatives of these distinguished organizations to please stand and be recognized this morning. Congratulations to our 7 National Capacity Building Grant recipients. Under the Direct Services Grant Program, recipients are local organizations that currently provide citizenship education or English language civics instruction and will use this funding to expand those services. We award today an additional 48 organizations up to $100,000 each for a total of nearly $4.8 million in funding. I must tell you that the remarkable increase in funding last year was the first time that we funded these types of grants, and we were able, as I mentioned earlier, to distribute $1.2 million, and I think it is a reflection of the support of Congress and the dedication of our administration that in a very new program we are able in just 1 year to expand it so exponentially. and I cannot underscore enough how much credit belongs to the USCIS Office of Citizenship for their remarkable dedication and commitment to this program. We award, as I mentioned today, an additional 48 organizations with the direct services grants, and I'd like to recognize some grantees that are represented here as well this morning. And I would appreciate it if you would also stand after I have identified you collectively. We are very proud to have with us today the Baltimore City College, Community College, Catholic Charities Diocese of Arlington, Montgomery College, and the YWCA of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would appreciate it if you too would stand and be recognized. Congratulations to all of our grant recipients, and thank you very much for hosting us and for participating in today's great program. I will now turn the lectern over to my colleague, with whom I am very, very proud to work, Rebecca Carson, who will present additional tools developed through this year's appropriation for citizenship and immigrant integration. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Mayorkas, and thank you all for joining us this morning. It's a very exciting day for us here at USCIS. In addition to the announcement of the grant recipients, we also have a very exciting new online Citizenship Resource Center to introduce to all of you today. It is a one-stop shop for citizenship instruction materials, and you can find it at www.uscis.gov/citizenship. What we have is a site that's dedicated for learners, teachers, and organizations, and it's clearly divided into 3 sections here. Citizenship, as the director mentioned, carries with it tremendous meaning as it creates a platform for equal opportunities, equal rights, and equal voices in our democracy. We at USCIS are committed to supporting immigrants on the path to citizenship. Our objective is to make sure that potential applicants understand the naturalization process, eligibility requirements, and the rights and responsibilities of citizenship before they apply. There's a great need for clear and accessible and accurate information for these individuals, as well as individuals and organizations around the country that support them. Over the past several years, we've made great strides in developing easy-to-use preparation materials for aspiring citizens. But I have to say that this new Citizenship Resource Center allows us to take these tools even further by offering a centralized website for citizenship information. So let's go ahead and take a look at the site. So you see the 3 sections here for learners, teachers, and organizations. Let's start with the first tab for learners, which is geared towards applicants or future applicants. So under the first tab, you can learn about naturalization, and there you'll learn about all of the eligibility requirements and process questions and how to apply. And under that, you can find many test preparation materials. So let's go into this portion of the page. You learn more about the test here, and then you can find study materials for the English portion or the civics portion of the test. I want to point out one specific tool that we're particularly proud of. We were able to launch this past year, and it's the USCIS Naturalization Interview and Test video. This actually walks you through what happens at a naturalization interview, and this has been publicly demanded for a long time. We were very glad to be able to produce that this year, and we just hope that people know what they're walking into with the interview so that they can feel less intimidated and more comfortable going into the interview and the test. We also have a number of other study materials here. Many of these are available in paper form as well as on the internet. But please take a look at all of these tools that we have available. Many of them will look familiar to you, and we'll be continuing to add new tools here. I also wanted to bring your attention to our free information sessions, where you can find the schedule located on this portion of the website. Over the last year, we have been working on a national initiative to open up our field offices to the public and welcome people into our offices. We partner with local organizations, and we answer questions about the naturalization process. We have our USCIS officers there, and these are free and open to the public. And as you can see, we have many upcoming sessions. We'll be in North Carolina for a few sessions next week, and we do keep this list up to date and current. So please spread the word that we do have these sessions going on, and they've been tremendously successful so far. So let's go back to the home page and go into the next section. And I'm just giving you a highlight right now, but I do encourage all of you to go back and really look at all of the materials that are offered on the site. So we're going to go to the teacher section now. Teachers can find citizenship-focused teaching materials and lesson plans. We're in the process of developing more lesson plans, but we wanted to show you an example of one of the lesson plans that we've developed. It's just taking a second to load. What we've done is, we know that citizenship teachers are usually on a shoestring budget, so we have really made it easy for the teachers. We might not be able to get it here, but I'll tell you about it. It's an easy to print out lesson plan, and each lesson plan is linked to certain civics questions and certain English vocabulary topics. Well, maybe we're having some technical difficulties here. Let's try it again. Oh, we got it. Okay, thank you, Nathan. So now we're going into the lesson plans. This is on capitals, oceans, and border states. And you can see that this is just an easy to print out one-page lesson plan for teachers, which also includes some possible activities, and you can see which civics questions this lesson plan is geared towards, which reading test vocabulary and which writing test vocabulary are used, so that you know exactly what different sections are applicable from the test. And we've also made it easy so that the materials are accessible for the teacher, as I mentioned, that's on the shoestring budget, so you don't have to go out and get anything fancy to make these lesson plans work. So going back to the main teacher site, I wanted to also point out that we also have free training and professional development opportunities on here, including downloadable podcasts. I think we all know the importance of professional development, and we want to help spread the word about what are the most effective ways to teach for citizenship. So we have some easy to download podcasts on here where we walk through what happens on the test, what people should expect, and then just some teaching tips. So we hope these podcasts, we're trying to use different types of media to get to different people. So we're hoping that those podcasts are useful. Last, under the teacher section, I want to point out that we also offer free training workshops for teachers around the country, so you can find the schedule of upcoming training sessions that we're holding. And here you can see the number of trainings that are coming up. And these are free, open to the public, geared towards citizenship teachers. So please, we keep this list up to date, and please do spread the word that these are also available. Okay, let's go back to the home page and look under the Organizations tab, where you can find information on the grant program. We know that some organizations always find it difficult, especially nonprofits, to find funds. You can find all the information about our 2010 grant program, our funding opportunities, as well as all the information on the current recipients that we just announced today. We also have a section on promising practices. We've been gathering the promising practices and best practices from the 2009 grant recipient program of the Citizenship Grant Program, and you can see here that we've been collecting them here, and we do plan to continue to build this list of promising and innovative practices so that anybody that does this kind of work can find them in an easy, one-stop shop. We'll also look externally, in addition to our grant program, of some of the other best practices that are out there, and we'll include that on this page. Last, I wanted to point out we have other external citizenship resources that would be helpful for organizations and program administration, professional development, and curriculum. We've canvassed the web. We've canvassed different organizations that offer citizenship education. So not only are we offering our own resources on this website, but we have a whole list in one place of all of the citizenship education tools that are out there that come from very well recommended sources. So please, that's a new tool that we hope will be helpful as well. Going back to the homepage, we have a new exciting tool on the homepage under the Learners section. Recognizing that many learners prefer a more traditional classroom setting, we've also included a link to America's Literacy Directory, which you can go to under Find a Citizenship class. So we've been working with the U.S. Department of Education, and I want to recognize Chris Coro, who's here from the Department of Education. Thank you so much for our partnership. What we have now is a new box where you can actually search by citizenship or civics education. That's a new feature. So all you need to do is put in your zip code to find a local citizenship class or civics class in your area. Let's just try the Wilson Center, which is 20004, and see what classes are around the area where we are right now. Click on citizenship or civics education. And here you can see there happen to be a number of citizenship classes in the area. But actually, we have approximately 1,000 programs that have been built in the system. We do encourage everyone here that offers citizenship classes, or if you're connected with those communities, to upload your own classes so that this is truly a usable tool for everybody. And all you need to do is go to www.literacydirectory.org, and organizations can input their own information there. So we're very excited about this new tool. So what I've been able to show you today is simply a highlight of what we plan to offer over the next year. The Citizenship Resource Center was designed on a platform that can be improved over time and easily expanded to meet evolving needs. One of the major upcoming additions we have is a series of interactive learning activities we're developing with the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History. And these tools will utilize the Smithsonian's extensive collection of historical items and artifacts. Thank you again, Dr. Glass, for this partnership. We're very much looking forward to the new programs that we have with you. And we will also soon introduce additional short lesson plans and handouts for citizenship instructors, as well as an online training course for volunteers that are looking to teach English and citizenship. So we're looking forward to those. I hope your programs find these initiatives useful. We're interested in community feedback, so please let us know how we can better support your efforts with these tools. Thank you again for joining us this morning, and I am going to hand it over to Chris Bentley now for questions from the media and others that are in the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. As Rebecca said, at this time we're going to transition into a brief question and answer session with our panelists. We have a couple of microphones in the auditorium. If you have a question, just raise your hand, let us know so we can get a mic to you. I would ask that you identify yourself by name and by organization so the panelists know who they're talking with, and we would love to start with the members of the media in the front row. Are there any questions for the panelists?
I noticed that there's a number of community colleges and adult ed centers that are involved. Is this an increasing constituency that are involved in citizenship education? Do you know how are they becoming more involved?
Rebecca, would you like to take that?
I'd just like to ask a philosophical question too. Does CIS are they participate in a campaign to get people with green cards to apply for naturalization? Is there kind of a proselytizing thing here, or do you serve as a you come to me basis?
Do you want to? I can take the first one. We see adult education facilities as a main partner. I mean, if you look at the numbers in terms of English language learners that are in adult education facilities, it's a natural partnership. We made an intentional decision this year to open up the funding for adult education providers. Last year, we focused primarily on community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, and the traditional immigrant-serving organizations. But this year, you'll see a very diverse group of organizations and many more adult education providers in the list, which, yes, was intentional based on who they serve. And we're very much looking forward to increasing our work with the adult education providers.
And if I can respond to your philosophical question, I think in this instance, as in many, diction is very important. So I think I'm going to steer clear of words such as campaign and proselytizing when it comes to this issue, and say that we are very dedicated as an agency to realizing the hopes and aspirations of immigrants who come to this country who dream of becoming United States citizens. And we are very dedicated in the service of those hopes and aspirations to promote citizenship and its values to the individuals who come before us as well as to the country to which they come.
Yes.
Yeah, Charles Chen, freelance correspondence. Does USCIS provide the working skill and find a job, particularly for the refugee? Thank you.
If I understood your question, sir, asking whether we assist in identifying jobs for immigrants and the like, and I think you mentioned refugees in particular. That is, I think, a little bit outside of our portfolio of responsibilities and efforts. I will say that one of the things that we do in our Refugee Asylum International Operations Directorate, in conjunction with other government agencies, is participate and promote refugee resettlement efforts and organizations that are dedicated towards that effort. But we ourselves are not involved in job placement efforts.
All right, Claire.
Good morning. I'm Luis Alonso with AP.
Good morning.
Mr. Mayorkas, I have a couple of questions for you. Could you please tell us what are the goals of about naturalization for this year and next year? How this money, these grants are going to make any difference in the amount of naturalizations? And my second question is about the DREAM Act. Do you see this plan of bringing the bill to the Senate next week? Do you have any comment on that? Do you see it as a positive development or negative development? Thank you.
I think that, let me answer your second question first. If I may, this administration, I think, has spoken to its support of the DREAM Act, and we'll see how events unfold. With respect to your first question, I think our hopes for the coming year are no different than they have been this year and the year prior, which is that we hope to be able to provide the opportunities for citizenship that each individual who seeks that treasure communicates to us. So we really want to meet the demand and the hopes of the individuals. We cannot do it alone as an agency, nor is it our responsibility to do it all. The process of the path to citizenship is sometimes for many a challenging one, and the path is made possible by virtue of the partnerships that we as a government agency engage in. And we have significant partners in the community and throughout this country, and some of them are represented here. And what these grants do, with the tremendous support of Congress and the administration, is provide the tools to our partners to join us in the effort. We have grants, as I've mentioned, that build our partners' capacity to serve the communities, and we have grants that enable our partners to provide direct services to populations in need who wish to become citizens. And so that really is...
Numbers, how do you expect them to... How do you expect that to reflect on the numbers of naturalizations from this year compared to next year or 2 years' time?
Well, we hope the number will grow. The number of individuals who naturalize, I think, averages approximately 600,000 per year. The number oftentimes is dependent upon a series of factors, only one of which is the our ability to extend these grants and build capacity in the community. There are a number of factors that play into that, some of which are out of our control. But for those that we can influence, we are very dedicated to adding value and devoting resources to it. It's a very significant priority of ours.
We have time for one last question.
Let me, if I can.
Can I just
Rebecca.
add, it's, as the director said, you know, we haven't assigned a numerical goal to this program in terms of number of naturalizations. We do see a value in the process in terms of the amount of the people that we're reaching with this tend to be lower income, more vulnerable populations, and many of them are pre-literate in their own countries. So it's a long process preparing for citizenship. So we have to recognize what those challenges are, and this will be felt over the next several years. I think the results of this grant program, because it's also that there's value in the process, because people are learning English, they're improving their English, they're learning about civics and civic responsibilities in the process. So it's not only about that end goal, but it's about making the process meaningful as well.
And let me, if I can, add one more point. There's a word that I used, gateway gateway community, and I think that's a very important point with respect to what we are accomplishing today. There are paths that have been paved in communities in which immigrants reside. There are also paths that need to be paved in communities that are seeing immigrants arrive and that don't have necessarily the established mechanism. And we are seeking to resource those gateway communities so that they develop capacity to serve new communities. And so we are expanding capacity where some already exists, and we're helping build capacity where that is needed and did not previously exist.
And now our last question, I think right in the middle here.
I am Irene Rescue, the Legal Services Director at Boat People SOS. So I'd like to start by thanking you for our grant award. And Ms. Carson, your last response was actually a nice segue into my question, even though I had the question before. As a follow-up to the Resource Center, which I commend you on, I'm looking forward to accessing it. You brought up the point of language access. And within our organization, we represent a lot of torture survivors, so we're able to apply for disability waivers and other waivers that are available. Can you speak to what CIS is doing internally to improve cultural and linguistic competency? We have found over the years some discrepancy around the country in the organization's ability to provide those resources. So, for example, are you looking down the line to providing the Resource Center in multiple languages and so forth?
We have certain resources that are already available on the website in multiple languages. So some of that is already done, and we are looking into language access issues with the website, but we haven't gotten there yet. Our goal was to have this ready by today. So we're there, and then we'll look at the next step starting tomorrow, or starting Monday. Yeah, I don't know if you want to take sort of the training issue.
Well, maybe? I think what your question, and thank you for the work that you do. Your question touches upon two issues, if I may. One is our accessing communities that may not have the facility with languages, and I think Mariela Melero and the Office of Public Engagement is really blazing new ground in terms of providing resources that we have, communicating those in different languages. And we had our first national stakeholder engagement in Spanish. So we have started that effort very strongly. Also, you mentioned people with disabilities. We, by virtue of our partnership and in our increasing partnership with the community, we engage with that partnership and learned of issues and challenges that people with disabilities are having in the naturalization process. And a product of that engagement and that partnership is a new N-648 form that I think addresses some of the concerns that the community has historically had. So I think we're making quite a bit of progress on a number of the fronts to which you alluded.
Thank you, Director. Unfortunately, I think we need to move on with the program now, so that's going to conclude this portion of the program. We'll take a short break and reconvene shortly with the remainder of the program. Please note that there are refreshments outside. Please take advantage of that. There is a room also right outside the main doorway where members of the media can do some one-on-one interviews with our panelists today. Thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of the morning.
Thank you very much.